Hey y'all, hey.
Hey y'all.
We are back, Black Girls, Black Girlin', with another episode.
Doing what we do best.
I'm Crystal.
And I'm Alisa.
And we are
That's right.
your favorite sister podcast. How y'all doing? Look, y'all watching more than 7 minutes? Let me know. Put a little comment if you got to the 8-minute mark. All right, no, for real.
Please.
So today we've been kind of all over the place this season, but it's been fun, right? Are you having fun, Alisa?
I'm having a fantastic time.
You look tired.
I'm tired though. I'm tired.
Because you got kids.
Yep. Yep.
Lisa got babies.
Yes.
I ain't got no babies. They still make me tired, but I ain't got no babies.
Babies and life.
Come on.
That mix it'll get you tired.
We're going to talk about the babies today, though.
We're going to talk about it, but we're going to talk about kids in general.
All right. Single motherhood.
Single motherhood.
Look, do y'all like how we're trying to stay on topic this season? Look at us. I would like somebody to applaud in the comments for us. Honestly and truly.
We have always been on topic. I don't know what my sister talk about.
Let me tell you something. Have you watched one episode of That's Right pre-season 3? We ain't been on topic. All right. So Lisa and I have been single mothers, right? And so we want to just kind of talk about that, explore that. We get a lot of questions about how we coped with things. And so we just decided, you know what? We'll just create some little content, put it on our podcast, and talk to y'all about it. We're no experts, honestly. We should have said favorite parenting podcast, Lisa. Oh my God.
They know that already.
Your favorite
They know that already.
parenting podcast. Like, don't follow none of this advice. You know me and Lisa don't know what we doing. We just out here. All right. So, let me see. I was a single mom.
Yes.
For quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, let me say this. I used to get so mad. So I was very active with my children. Very, very active. I was very active in school and cheer. All the things that they did, I was a part of. And to the best of his ability. Let me say this. I don't want to get this man no more credit than he's due. But their dad did try to, he was at events. He tried to, help out when he felt like helping out or whatever. And so I remember, so nobody at my kids' school knew that I wasn't married. I didn't tell them that. They just assumed because the way that my kids presented that they had 2 parents in the house. And it wasn't like years. They were just like, oh my gosh, I thought you were married. Like, nope. And then I'll never forget, my baby used to be a competitive cheerleader. And she took this little girl's spot as a fly. And this was an all-star cheerleading. And her dad came to the competition. And this lady looked at me and said, I didn't know she had a father. Ooh. I almost punched her in her face. Ooh. I almost punched her in her face.
The stereotype is not.
This is what I'm telling you. So anyway, I've been a single mom. After I didn't start off as a single mom. I started off, knocked up and married. And then 7 years into the marriage, I got divorced. Y'all know the story. Ain't nothing changed. But let me say this. I didn't mind being a single mother because I was about my kids. Yeah. And so, but I wasn't one of them weird single moms who was like, oh my God, my kids are my life and I can't do anything without them. No. Until their grandmother, the paternal grandmother, annoyed me, I was shipping them off to see her every summer. Living my best life, doing my best. Like, I was not the mom who was like, I can't get out. I just want to be all around my kids. Speaking, how she annoyed me is because she told my children a lot to me. And that's how I was like, yo, they can't come back. Because they can't. I don't want them going people they trust and learning that it's okay to lie to mom. Yeah. So I was like, yeah, they won't be back. And she lied about, I have to tell the story.
That's fine.
Her niece was watching them and she took Kennedy somewhere and Kennedy was like maybe 7. And she got lost with Kennedy. And they could not find her for a very long time.
Oh, wow.
And my kids never even told me until the next summer when it was time to go back. And they were like one of them said something. I can't remember which one. The other one was like, you're not supposed to say anything. I was like, who told you not to say something to your mama? Right. And when they told me, I called her and she was like, that was so long ago. That was the last time they were with you. And we found them and it wasn't all that. She was just, the girl was being fast or something with some little boys. Oh, wow. And she had my baby. She ain't going back. They're not going back on the strength of lying. But as far as being, I think I wasn't the single mom, and I don't knock nobody for the way they do it, because raising kids is hard with a husband or spouse or whatever.
Absolutely.
But I wasn't the one who was like, I'm the mama and the daddy. We, I want Father's Day too. For all my ex-husband was, I made sure that the kids celebrated him on Father's Day. Like, I went out of my way to celebrate, because he was still their dad. Yeah. And I think because I understood, like, I think our divorce was traumatic for him, because I did some stuff. And so I always remembered that when we divorced, prior to him wilding out when I met your brother. But I remembered that, and I honored him. So while I didn't like when he would be like, oh, I'm gonna come pick up the kids, and then not show up, and then I have to tell the kids that he got caught at work, because I was that mama.
Oh yeah.
I never told my kids like, oh, he just didn't show up. This dude used to do some stuff, dog. I used to, because it would enrage me, but I never wanted my kids to feel unloved. And that's a problem, because I practice family law. That's a problem I have, is like with parents, and I deal with a lot of moms, and they're just like, well, I'm not gonna lie to my kids. So now your kid feels unloved because you felt like you just need to let an 8-year-old know their daddy didn't want to come see them. That's mad weird to me. So, and I know you probably feel differently, but I don't feel like that. My kids will never feel like someone did not love them enough. So it was always like, oh my gosh, he's at work. You guys gonna stay with mommy, or if I, had someone else or whatever. And so when he came around, there was never any like, screw him. It was always like, oh my God, daddy.
Well, I think that was good parenting in you. But even though he did that, and you raised your kids to be a certain way and not know that he neglected them pretty much, how did you treat him?
What do you mean?
Like,
my baby daddy?
Yeah, like were there casual still conversations, or were you cussing him out on the back end like, why?
Have you met me?
But the world may not know this.
I cussed him out regularly, right? But it was so weird because it's so weird because I cussed him out, but I would always welcome him back. So it was never on I would cuss him out in the moment, like, how dare you? Because first of all, I need a break. Yeah. Like, if I'm keeping it a stack, it was about them having a relationship with their dad, but it was also like, I'm 24/7 mom. Yeah. So absolutely. The least you can do is come this every other weekend and pick them up, right? And so I would cuss him out because I couldn't get no free time, like, for real. Yeah. And so, but then, he would apologize. I ain't had no money. But I was a single mom when he did come get them. If he would say he had no money, you need groceries, I'll buy the groceries. You need gas for your car, I'm putting gas in your car. You don't have nowhere to live, because he didn't sometimes. I was leaving my house on the weekends, letting that brother stay in my house while I went and stayed with, somebody else, because please give me a break. Right? Like, I need a moment. You know what I'm saying? And so, and I trusted him. So, it was whatever. And I think he loved them. But I think my personal opinion was that he was so hurt by the divorce, it was hard to separate that from me. But he wasn't, when he was present, he was good to them. And so, but when he wasn't, like, one time, he just called me. He was like, I'm not taking her to the father-daughter dance, Kennedy. I was so upset because Kennedy goes to the father-daughter dances. Yeah. I called my daddy, who is the greatest dad ever, and I was like, yo, he's not taking her. And he was like, yeah, come, And so Kennedy loves my daddy, so she was all, and of course I told Kennedy he had to work, not that he was a jerk. That's who I was. That's who I was until, let me tell you this, that thing switched when they became teenagers, and it came time for your brother to adopt them. And he tried to voice an objection. And in voicing the objection, he told Jay that I was horrible and all this stuff. And then I was like, wait a minute. I have spent my life making sure these kids have a positive opinion of you. When you got remarried, you stopped making any effort whatsoever to see them, or you wanted me to drive 2 hours. It was just like, yo, don't come in here with that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so then, at that point, they were all teenagers. I told them, like, yeah. I mean, I didn't go back and say, like, oh, your dad. I mean, they know not because I talk about it on the podcast. But I never went to them and said, and when you was little, your dad wasn't trying to be around. That's not who I am. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But it was when he was helping at first, because he was. When people would ask me if I was a single mom, I would just be like, no, I'm divorced. Because I didn't feel like a single mom because he was helping. And so I never saw myself as a single mom. When he I don't know, started wilding, then I was like, no, I'm a single mom. You know what I mean? I felt like I'm doing this on my own. And so, but the joy of it, because, you know, I'm a control freak, I never had to ask his input on nothing. You don't want to be around? My kid's going to do every single thing there, you know, and so, you know, when you're co-parenting, it's like you got to get somebody else's opinion. I got to do everything I wanted to do with my kids. You know, we got to just live our lives. And so, you know, I enjoyed that. And I was just really able to, you've met my children, right? So really able to teach them.
Wonderful kids.
And I didn't have, like, he's not the best person. He doesn't come from the best family. And so they have none of his influence. That's just real. And so, and I mean, they have some of my bad stuff too, because they're perfectionists because of the mother that I was, you know what I'm saying? Or am, I'm trying to be better, but, you know, but they don't have any of they didn't have that influence, you know? And so that, while I think are some cons, you know, I absolutely, you know, think there are some pros. And even when you think about the comments people make on our posts, like, oh, because I am like a dominant parent, even in my current marriage, you know, they're like, oh, these boys need a father. And I'm like, they had men in their life. I have 2 brothers and a dad. And one of my closest friends was a man, and he would come and help me with them. So they were not without men in their lives. You know, they've spent time with my father every single weekend because I was purposeful. You know, in doing that. And so I think that's important, just like single motherhood. It's just important to make sure you do have community and you do have, I'm a guardian ad litem too. And so sometimes when I have to go in homes and there's not a mom there and there's a little girl, the little girl like will, you know, just cling to me because like, oh, a woman is in this house, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm like, oh my God, she needs some like female energy. She needs someone who wants to play dolls. And dad is playing dolls. It's just not the same as playing dolls with mom. So I think both parents are important. But I do feel like you can also do it without having both parents. Like that can be a thing. I agree with that. And so, and like I said, the hardest part for me being a single mother was not ever having a break. Like not ever having a break because my friends were bombs. So they were definitely helping me and my family was helping me. But like not to the extent that someone getting them regularly, you know, would help. And then I was a single mom. He wasn't paying no child support. That was also an issue because like I'm carrying everything financially, carrying everything mentally. And then you want to show up. This used to grind my gears. But I was like, okay, it's fine. I never said anything, but, you know, my kids got lots of awards and honors and things like that. Every single one of them, he was there. Taking pictures of, oh, that thing is... You didn't do anything for this. You were not up working on projects, recording everything, making sure they had everything together. You weren't talking to teachers at parent-teacher conferences. You were not, like, going to bat for them. Here they are... you know, presidential awards, whatever, and you're like, oh my God, my kid's so awesome. I'll punch you in the face. Like, honestly and truly, like, that used to disgust me. But I never said anything because, you know, he's still their dad at that time, but...
There's a maturity level, I guess, that you were displaying.
Yeah, so it wasn't... I know that single mothers get a bad rep, and I know that people say it's really hard. Like, those are the hard things for me. It's just the not getting the break. But, like, I didn't have to deal with anybody trying to discipline my kids the way I didn't want them disciplined. I didn't have to deal with any of that because I was the only parent. So it was no corporal punishment in my house. Nobody was telling me that was stupid. You know what I'm saying? My kids could ask questions. Nobody was telling me that was stupid. And so then by the time I met your brother, he had a completely different parenting style. But he also saw how great my kids were. So he was just like, yo, this parenting style works. Yeah. And so, like, you know, when I met him, it was like, you know, he was because I said so, Dad. I was like, yo, we don't do that. I'm going to give my kids an explanation every single time. They can ask me why 100 times because they need to learn how to think. And if I don't explain myself, my thought process, they're not going to know how to explain the way that they think to people. And so but no one ever taught him that. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. And so he is completely fine with my parenting style now. And he's fine with just how I've raised him. He hasn't tried to undo anything, you know, and my kids weren't. It's so weird because even as a single mom, because I had community, they weren't like looking for a father.
Yeah.
Like when they met Galen, it wasn't like, oh my God, we finally have a father. It was just kind of like, yo, he's dope. You know, because they never met anybody I dated. So it was just like, this is cool, but it's not filling a void. Because I was big in their lives and I didn't make them feel like a burden. Yeah. I never made, and I think that that's the thing too that I find with single parents is they unintentionally, you know, make their kids feel like a burden. It was fun raising them. And so that is my you know, life as a single mother. But I do know it's harder for other people.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I guess that's what I would talk about, you know, me being a mother of 4, and being a single parent for a short period of time, you know, just like you. But I do feel like being a single parent, period, whether it's a guy or a female, taking care of kids can really just take a toll on you. But I might bring some backlash with this. But I do feel that as a single parent, as a single mother, if there's a void, regardless of what it is, if there's a void financially, or if there's a void mentally or physically with helping your child, I consider that to be a single parent, whether it's the man taking care of the kids or the girl taking care of the kids. So, because if you have joint custody or whatever, and you know you're the single parent, the kids live with you, that means that you're pretty much taking on a lot.
Even if dad is like there, like at basketball games and paying child support.
Let's say that, and this is probably the typical divorce decree situation where the dad comes around and it's every other weekend, and maybe he'll pick him up here and there,
right?
But it's still an every other weekend situation. So that means that as a single parent, you are still responsible for getting them up in the morning, making sure they get to school, making the lunch.
Let me ask you this question. Did you make a decision to be the primary physical custodian? Did he fight for primary physical custody? Would you have been willing to give him primary physical custody of your kids?
No, I would not have, not at all. I'm a great fit mother, great fit parent.
You don't have to be unfit to.
I know, and I know that you're a divorce attorney or whatever, but I'm just giving you my personal opinion, and now this is just what I'll have to say in court. If I had to say it, it might not even be valid, but I feel like I'm a great fit to be a mother, and I carried my children for nine months in my belly. There's no reason for me to give them up. Now, unless I say that I want to give them up.
So you chose to be a single mom.
Yeah, I chose to be a single mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all. I chose to be a single. I chose to be the primary physical custodian.
So in doing that, of course, I mean, you can only prepare so much. You don't really know, what that really looks like if you've never done it before.
If you signed a parenting plan that says that he would have every other weekend, then you do know what it looks like.
In terms of the feel, you don't know what it feels like, in what I'm describing, being a single parent pretty much really just takes a toll on you.
You maybe wouldn't have done every other weekend if you had known.
No. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying in general, regardless of whatever, whether we've gone through a divorce, whether we were married or not, just having kids and just being a single parent and what you have to do to be a parent. That's all I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the decisions I made or anything like that. I'm just saying that it's still a struggle having kids and having to raise them, So if you're that single parent, you're taking on bulk of that responsibility and making sure that your kids are straight. When they come home, you're the one helping them with their homework. When they come home, you're the one that has to make sure that dinner's prepared. The other one that has joint custody, they are coming and going, So they still, that there's not that much of a void on their end more than it is for you, if you kind of, get what I'm saying. So I still consider, even with it being joint custody, I still consider being a single parent because that single parent weighs more of the void than the other. You're looking at me because you agree to disagree.
I am just absorbing what you're saying and making sure that I understand. Okay. But I do have questions because
you always
have questions. Go ahead, keep talking.
Thank you. But anyways, me saying that it's challenging, I can't go past that. It's definitely challenging. But for me, it can hold you back too, because when I had kids, I didn't go to college right away. And
oh, you had your kids before you went to college?
I had my kids, not before. I had them. I had my kids before I went to college. Yes, I had my kids before I went to college, and I went to college when I had my kids.
Okay.
And I'm saying that because I'm saying I never tried to stop my life. Like, I didn't allow for my kids to, like, not put a burden on me, but because it can be so much on you. At this time I only had 2 kids. I didn't have 4. I only had 2 kids at this time. But because raising kids can be so much of a burden for you, you tend to just cater more towards the kids, and you kind of forget about yourself, so to speak. So, what I'm trying to say is I still tried to challenge myself in those situations where I still push myself to go to college, to try to get through that. And it's hard, because some parents don't have the opportunity or the advantage of, having a good support system. And so for me, raising my 2 kids, I had a good support system around me to where.
Did their dad actually exercise his parenting time?
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't really have any problems with that.
Do you pay child support?
And so I was going to get to that, honestly. So with that situation, I'm the type of female that I'm not even going to take you to get for child support.
They didn't order in your divorce decree?
I wasn't thinking of, no. I wasn't thinking about,
You know that's like, you have to.
This is how it happened. It's how we didn't get divorced right away, so there was.
But even still, I mean, that's the law. You can't even agree away child support because it's okay.
There was a separation.
Family law.
I know. No. So there was a separation. The separation lasts for a period of time. So in that separation, I could have gotten
right.
I could have gotten child support. So within that, so I never sought child support at that time. And the reason why I didn't, I don't even know why I didn't.
But that's not my question. When you got divorced.
When I got the divorce, which came years later, yes. When I got the divorce, then they gave me child support. But I wasn't urging for it prior to the divorce.
I see what you're saying. Okay, so how long was it? If you don't
my God, probably 3 or 4 years.
Me too.
Probably a little longer than that, honestly, because it was a little longer than that. Probably 5 years because. So 3 years had passed with me being pretty much a single mom or us having whatever. Custody, whatever. And there would be times where I would call him and I think he was bitter, because I was the one to choose to leave and I left. And so times where it was their birthdays, I would call him just to kind of see what he wanted to do with them. And he always would just give a backlash, like, I don't want to do nothing. But he never, within the 3 years that we were separated, he'd never paid anything. Nothing at all. Not bottom of pair, nothing, nothing. He picked him up, he did. But there was no joint nothing, he didn't offer nothing. And for me being a female, honestly, I don't really even like to ask people for anything. But there were certain things that his kids needed that he never really clothes, whatever.
Right.
He never participated financially in anything. So I found myself calling him okay, your kid's about to start school. Do you want to contribute? Or when they're starting, do whatever the case may be. And he just was not budging, you could tell that he had some type of animosity, and it's you decided to leave, and now you want the kids, so yeah, whatever. So it wasn't until 3 years later where I was like, okay, I'm not going to keep asking him, for anything, and so I did try to get child support around that time, but if I feel like their father is helping financially in some kind of way, whether it's small, just anything, right. I wouldn't have never done it, but it was just the fact that you weren't doing anything, and I ended up asking for it. But as far as having a father in a kid's life, I feel like it is prevalent. I think that it's necessary. I think that if there's a father around, then a kid should benefit being with both parents, because there is, and you have done it, you've raised good kids, right? And I would call you rare, compared to most people, single females growing up, raising kids by themselves. But with a male, there's a certain masculinity that the aura that they give that can help more with on the discipline side of raising kids. And, you know, some people may, you know, agree to disagree. I can say with you that I've apparently seen it done, right? Like you really molded and raised some wonderful, great, because you don't play the radio, great kids. But there are still a lot of females out there that play the radio, right? There's still a lot of females out there that are really soft for the kids or just don't know how to discipline their kids.
And I think I'm soft for my children, but I also want them to be good citizens, right? Like that's my whole goal in life is that they will be good citizens. And so I have to correct behaviors to make sure that you're a good citizen.
Absolutely.
But I'm listening. I'm sorry. So you think, you're fine. So you're saying and correct me if I'm wrong. Like for you, the male role is more disciplinarian.
Yeah. And in addition to that, I feel like a male would play a good role in having a daughter, you know, teaching a daughter how a man is supposed to treat her. And even in a son's role, teaching a man how to be a man, you know, to a certain extent. Like you're a mother and there's things that you probably would do anything, you're going to do anything for your kids, right? But there's some things that you probably would want a man to fill that void in, like going out to play basketball with them so you don't have to go out there and get sweaty, you know, or... No, I know.
I'm gonna be very transparent, Lisa. When Chris said he wanted to play basketball, guess who YouTubed and figured out how to play basketball?
Oh, okay.
I took my son to the basketball court with the YouTube knowledge that I had. Then I got him a private coach because I sucked.
We gonna make it happen, right?
Right.
But you know, but honestly, statistically speaking, in society, everybody is not as fortunate either, right? To even have the time as far as females, maybe she might be working or financially to be able to.
So the man can help carry the load.
So you know, definitely. So again, if there is a man that's available around, then I would want the man. I would want a man to be in that child's life. I would never, ever, ever, ever take my children away from their father if he is here on this earth. And I'm pretty much like you too. Because my children's father is not, you know, the best or doesn't do everything the right way. The older two. And I could probably say there's some issues probably even with the younger two, but I try not to instill that what I know, you know, into the kids or make the father look bad to the kids. You know, I try my best not to.
When dad doesn't come through, you don't tell them.
Yeah, no, I'm not as specific, you know. I might share maybe a little bit of frustration, but I don't degrade or try to put someone down. Or I will explain. I personally feel like I don't know that I would do it exactly how you did it or what you did. I don't know if I'm a sugarcoated that much. But I'm gonna try to keep it to them as real as I possibly can. I don't even know really how that looks because I ain't really never been in a situation where, you know, like their fathers just ain't show up. Like they making promises they can't keep because I'll be raging. I'll be going crazy myself. And I'll be like, look, your daddy didn't show up. I'm going to talk to him. We going to talk to him. We going to let him know. I know he love you, but nah, something ain't right. But again, I do feel like there should be a man in, you know, that child's life. I think there is a strong benefit in that. And for the ones that are, you know, are raising kids because there might have been a loss. It's tough, you know, it's tough. But I definitely believe that you can go a long way even just with having a good support system, period, you know. And that's the only, it takes a village to raise these kids. You really can't do it all by yourself. And think that they're not gonna fill a void, you know, because you're only one person.
So do you think, like for me with my kids, they had their granddaddy, they had their uncles, right? Like so they spent a lot of time. My brother's kids, their cousins are their best friends. Yeah. So they spent a lot of time at my brother's house with, you know, him being there and my sister-in-law or whatever, and then time with my dad. Do you think that the male void that you think is there, do you think that can be filled by somebody other than the father?
That's a great question. No, I actually feel like, if they had a man in their life, they could teach them those same things, those same values. I do agree. But it is hard to nowadays to even trust anybody.
Where are we going?
I'm sorry. You know, no. You know what I'm about to say. You already know. Listen, yeah. If you, I know your daddy uncles.
Not the priest at the Catholic church.
I mean, uncles. Yeah, you still gotta be careful. I'm gonna break it up. You just can't trust everybody with your kids.
Agreed.
And that's the struggle of a lot of single parents, because there are a lot of things that go on out here with people that you think that you trust that can put your kids in harm.
Alisa.
I just wanted to put that out there. And it's true.
I think it's true, but like I said, because my kids are the product of my dad stepping up and filling that void. And so, like I said, when he had to take my baby to that father-daughter dance, she loved it, enjoyed it, great time, And he's, like I said, been there. He did things to my sons that I would never do. And he's, ooh, the things that drive me crazy. Because, like, he wanted to roughen them up or whatever, or toughen them up or whatnot. So we would go there on Sundays, and he would just play rough games with them. I'd be oh my God, be freaking out. Don't do that to my baby. Don't do that to my baby. And my dad's like, sit down somewhere. And he would be, and Chris would be crying, but wanting to play. Wanting to do the stuff, crying. And we used to do a thing called hot hands. He used to do it so rough. Like, everything was just so hard on them. And I'm just like, yo, but not like, of course, as they got older, I appreciated that, because they needed that energy. You know what I'm saying? Instead of mom being like, it's okay, baby. Everything was, and my parents still say I babied them too much, but they had the benefit of my brother, who they would go to his house and he's in there, I didn't like make fun of my kids and stuff. And so, how dads will do?
They joke a lot. Yeah, you're right.
That kind of stuff pissed me off. So, but my brother was doing that to my sons. So they coming home like, we're going to get Uncle Ron. You know what I'm saying? Like, planning how they were going to come back and all their other stuff. And it made them tougher. You know what I'm saying? And so, like I said, by the time they met Galen, who was an excellent father, they weren't craving that energy because they had it in community. And it never once crossed my mind that my children would be unsafe with my brother. It never once crossed my mind that my children would be unsafe with my father. And that's just because... And
that's good.
And they never were, right? Like, I never... There was never a situation where they had to come home and talk to me about, them being unsafe. And even one of my best friends, like, they spent a lot of time with him. And so he was, like, picking them up, taking them... He would check them out of school, take them to movies, and just be there for them. Anytime they needed it, they would call Uncle Zach, And so they had... I was never without community.
That's great.
And so, let me say this, I know that is a blessing, but I also welcome community. I did not wear single motherhood as a badge. Like, for me, it was not like, look at what I'm taking care of these kids by myself. I would really rather not take care of them by myself. So look at all these people helping me. Right?
Absolutely.
Like, that's a thing. And then my kids have a thing for community. And so we all notice, probably to like their detriment, because that's my daughter's like so helpful, and so because she understands you don't make it on your own. But then people don't necessarily want her help all the time. Please sit down. So that's a thing. But I think that, and then it is unfortunate, single motherhood. I see a lot of this, like, when women, and I hate when people say it because it's so cliche, but it's also so very real, use their kids as a pawn. And so dad will want to see the kids. And let me say this, I don't give fathers no pass. Because if mom is withholding these kids from you, guess what you can do? You can take her to court and get custody. Like, that's an actual thing. So it's not like, 18, she wouldn't let me see you. You sound stupid. But there are women out there who are like, bitter. And I know someone who told me the other day, his girlfriend keeps yelling at my child, I'm not sending my child back over there.
His girlfriend keeps yelling at my child, and she went over there because I would have been over there.
Not even that. Like, you don't withhold custody and visitation to me because you talk to the dad and you say, don't have her yelling at my child, don't leave her alone, but you don't say, I am going to interfere with the father-son relationship.
That's a tough one. I mean, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, and maybe I don't know the whole story. Maybe that's
and let me say
this.
Of it all. That is fair, because this is a person who did not want dad to see the child ever. Okay. And so
any excuse.
Right. And so I'm like, you're not telling me that, this woman hit the child, this woman called the child names. 6 years old, he probably bad as a mug. Like, I'm just being real. You know what I'm saying? And people have different parenting styles. So like, I don't hit my kids, but I'm going to yell at you. That's the thing I'm going to do. You know what I mean?
Were they married, or are they just girlfriend, boyfriend?
They were not married. They were like a short relationship that resulted in a child. And
I don't want to go too deep into that, but for me, I just feel like that situation definitely will need to be checked, because if she's not even married to him. And
you mean the girlfriend? The girlfriend. No, yeah. I think you check the situation, but I don't think you check it by withholding visitation.
Well, I don't think I would send my child back unless I had a conversation with him to get it all squared away. And
so let me say this. Say you have that conversation, and so okay. Kids feel energy, and this is another thing I feel with single moms. Like, kids are, if you're the only person and you're giving off energy, or even saying like, your dad's over here and I really, really love you, and dad, essentially giving off the vibe that dad doesn't love you like I love you. Kids exaggerate situations when mom is you can run to mom and she's going to be there.
Oh, that they're going to take advantage of who
right.
Listen.
And so that's why I am like, I'm not going to, you didn't tell me this girl hit you. I'm not going to automatically cut off visitation because you said that somebody was yelling at you. And if you have this conversation with dad, and let's say dad says, little Johnny is lying, that didn't happen, and little Johnny is adamant that it happened, what you doing there? Who you believe in, dad or Johnny?
Johnny.
Listen,
you just made a statement on one of our episodes with the teacher situation. It shouldn't matter if you gonna ride with your child, you're gonna ride with your child.
I don't think that. So here's the thing. Even in that example, I never said that I'm going to believe my child over the teacher. I am saying I am not going to validate the teacher in front of my child and make my child feel like I have somehow betrayed them.
Okay.
So
you're right about that.
But here's the thing. Moms who want their kids to so align with no matter what are going to do exactly that. I believe my son went lie. Whole time dad is like, or I've had parents say, and this is a flip reverse where dad has custody and mom is the custodial parent, tell me like, the kid is coming to me to tell me, oh, dad, hit me the other day. And so I'm like freaking out. And then I find out he threw his little brother down the stairs. So yes, dad popped him. But because you're so aligned with mom, you are doing anything to try to alienate yourself from dad, right? And so that's what I'm not on. And you have these parents, and parents don't understand. They can say like, oh, I don't talk bad about their dad, but what is your energy toward them going to dad? If you go over there, if anything happens to you, let me know. You don't let anybody do this to you. So you are filling their heads, maybe like not on purpose. You're filling this child's head with, this is an unsafe place, because you were preemptively saying, if something happens to you, you can tell me. So now this child is like, oh, something happened to me, I'm gonna go tell.
Valid. I think it's valid.
That's on you.
You want to create this safe space just in case something you're not wishing for anything, but you want your child to know if they're going somewhere else other than what they're familiar with going and being around other people that they're unfamiliar with. You want them to know that they can come back and tell you whatever it is.
If you were doing that across the board, like if you were doing that when they go to a cousin's house, when they go, I think that's one thing. But if you are solely doing that when they're going to dad's house, you're creating a sense of fear, right? And you're creating a sense of, I can't trust dad. He may do something. And now dad is telling you to sit your behind down, get off that PlayStation, and something has happened to you.
Yeah.
And nothing happened to you. Sit down. Behave. And and that's what I run into more than the mom who welcomes that. You know what I mean? Even in situations where women have left men, I feel like when the man moves on, a lot of times women, in my experience, are like very
I just don't want her doing so to my child. She's not done anything to your child. You were somehow projecting. You did not want this man, but I guess you want him pining over you. And now you're using your child is caught up in it.
That's the pawn, right?
Right. And so that's just not, or you just withhold visitation at whim. Like, well, my family's, yes, it's your weekend, but my family's actually having a family reunion, so he's coming with us. And then you I do not give men any passes ever in my entire life. I want every man to know that I am against giving a man a pass. But also as well, I'm also not an idiot.
Yeah.
You do that too many times, and then you wonder why. He's like, okay, the last 7 months, I've not been able to see my kid because you had something. So, okay, 8th month, I'm not calling. You don't care about your son? What are you on? What are you on? You know what I'm saying? And so I do, while I don't give men passes, because I see certain things so much that it's just kind of like, yo, chill out.
Yeah.
Well, he took him to the water park and he didn't tell me he was going. Well, is the water park in England? Help me understand. Like, help me understand why you have to be in so much control. You know what I mean? And
absolutely.
Let me say this, I was never that single mother because I didn't have a chance. He wasn't trying to get them. You know what I'm saying? So it was not a thing where, and maybe I would have been the type of person, but he got them. Maybe he would go, let's say 4 months in a row, getting them every other weekend. And then for a year, he would be like, I can take him to lunch on a Saturday. You know, and so I never had to feel like I needed to be, in control of whatever. So maybe the lens through which I am looking at this is muddied, right? And so, but I don't think there's ever a situation where, and I think we've shifted, but where you as a mother should, attempt to withhold visitation because of a third party.
No, I get it.
And that's my whole opinion. It's been, I think men have an important role in kids' lives, but I don't think it has to be a biological father. I think, and that's just been my experience.
Yeah, and I think that I agree with you. I feel like if the biological father is still there, present and alive, then yeah, he should be definitely just in their lives. And sure, like you said, well, I think I said it just takes a village. It can be more than it can be the father plus the granddad and the uncles and everybody else. The more, the merrier. But I do think that there should be a male figure, in kids' lives.
And I guess I think that's fair. But I would say even like when my son went on his first date, I was single. I taught my son to treat a woman the way I want to be treated. And so it didn't take a man to teach him to open doors, to buy flowers, to pick up the bill. Like, he was 14. I guess that's young. I don't know if that's young to people or whatever, but it's young to me. Or maybe he was 13. But he did. I went in the restaurant with him, but I taught him how to be a gentleman, right? Yeah. And so I don't think that if you're in a place where you're estranged from your father or whatever, I think, to me, what I did was just try to instill in my kids what I think is appropriate for a man. You know what I mean?
You did the best, and you did the best that you could do. And
I did
excellent job. Excellent job.
It's like always. But then Galen came in and. Yeah. And it's funny because MJ called me the other day and he was going through something. He was like, yo, I just sat there and I was like, I need to talk to my dad. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm perfect. I'm here. Perfectly well. I can hear what you're saying. But there is a male perspective that he needs. Right?
Part of that.
Because I don't know the male I can tell you what a woman wants from a man, but I can't give you the male perspective.
You didn't even touch on that. Yep.
And so
we got to wrap it up. Ooh, we got to wrap it up right there.
I'm just saying. But I think, again, it goes back to community. That's the purpose of having, it doesn't have to be a father. Absolutely. It can be, another man. Absolutely. So anyway, what are we wrapping up with?
Okay, what are we wrapping up with?
You can do it. We're rooting for y'all. Yes. If you are looking for a father, it doesn't have, the biological father is a jerk like some of them are. Talk to your daddy. Talk to your uncle.
Build a community.
Watch somebody what if you don't have a dad or an uncle? Okay, please.
Build a community. Go to God. Build a community.
You can. That's real. Don't be like Lisa and think people are trying to touch your kids.
Well, you just gotta be cautious because it happens.
Yes. Appreciate y'all for rocking with us. Thank y'all. One time for single moms. Maybe we should do a giveaway for single moms.
Shout out to the motherhood, which is the best hood.
The motherhood is the best hood. We're going to do a giveaway for single moms. I like to do that. Like a spa.
Oh, let's do it.
And buy him a dad.
You know what? Cut.
All right, y'all. Peace. Thank y'all for rocking with us. What? I'm about to.
I thought we was done.
All right. See y'all later.
Peace.